What's up YouTube? My name is Nick, aka Nois, and today I'm going to be doing a tutorial on how to build a dubstep beat, electro, house, complextro kind of thingy track in Ableton. Yeah, that's a great genre. I don't really know what it's called, what the genre is called. I don't really care what the genre is called, but that's just an easy, I don't know. You call it whatever you want. You can make it whatever you want. But the first thing we're gonna be doing today is actually working on the drum track. Now this is probably gonna be like a 2-3 part video because drums are super important. They're kind of the backbone of your song. If your drums suck, you can have amazing synths and stuff like that, but if your drums suck, then in my opinion, I just don't want to listen to it. So the first thing you gotta do is get yourself a kick, a snare, 2 hi-hats, and just like a ride cymbal. The ones I'm using for this tutorial, all snagged out of Vengeance Dirty Electro Volume 2, and I'm using the Dirt Kit number 2. So for those of you who want to shell out the cash to buy that, feel free, and you can follow along with the tutorial exactly. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is take a look at the samples we've got, listen to each one individually. So here, first up we have the kick sample. Let me throw my headphones on. I'm going to throw my headphones on so I don't blow eardrums. And solo it. As you can see, I've got my volume already dropped down to 10 by 10 in this track and the next track, and then my hats track has been dropped down by 13. Then my simple track, I didn't drop it down at all because it's very low. Let's see how this sounds. Hello, play the kick. What the fuck? Okay, sorry about that. My thing was being retarded. Okay, so let's play the kick. Alright. Cool little sample right there. Let's play our snare. And then let's listen to our 2 different hi-hats. Oops. And then we'll listen to our cymbal. Yep. Very simple sounds. Don't really sound like too much, but with the proper EQing and all that, it'll sound fantastic. Okay, the first thing you'll notice about my kick sample is that it's actually shorter than the rest of this whole bar right here. It's shorter than the snare. That's okay. It doesn't need to be perfect length. Just as long as the snare starts at the very beginning of the sample. But for all intents and purposes right now, to make it easier on us, I'm gonna hit Control J and consolidate the file. So now it's one long thing, and it's still a waveform. It didn't dumb it down or anything like that. All it did was just make it a little bit longer. And now what I'm going to do is, since I've got it like this, duplicate it across from 1 to 1.2. I'm going to duplicate that by hitting Control D and duplicating it across to the very beginning of bar 2 so that it stops right at bar 2. And then I'm going to drag my loop locator right here so it starts at bar 2, and if we solo our kicks, this is what it sounds like. Alright, that's really simple. And now we're going to take our snare and make sure that they hit at 1.2 and 1.4. By the way, if you hit Control, if you click the sample you want to copy and you hit Control, you can move it over without having to duplicate it, like without having to hit Control D. So it's just quicker to do it that way sometimes than hitting Control D a bunch of times. And now for our hi-hats, I've got a lower hi-hat. We can listen to that all together, and that'd be cool. So now we've got a kick and snare pattern like this. Alright. Now we're just gonna listen to the hi-hats for now, and I've got a low hi-hat, and then a higher, and then a louder hi-hat. I find that if I put the lower hi-hat right with the kick, it sounds better than putting the louder hi-hat with it. And we're just gonna go for a simple I think it's 1/8. We're gonna put them at 1/8 of each bar. So if you expand it a little bit, you'll see not only does it say 1.1 and then 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. Now you got 1.1.3, 1.2.3, 1.3.3, and 1.4.3. So you're gonna put the first cymbal hit, the lower volume one at 1, the louder one at 1.1.3, the lower one at 2, at 1.2. You know, you get it. And then once we did that, we'll solo that and play that and see how that sounds. Alright, that sounds kind of cool. Now if we play it all together, it sounds like this. Right on. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to take that, highlight everything, and duplicate it across one bar. So we have one full bar of that, or 2 full bars of that little loop. Then we're going to take our snare sample, and we're going to create a new audio track, and we're going to drag the snare down here. And then if you notice, now that I've got this highlighted, this little bar comes up at the bottom with the sample in it, and it's got this little button here that says REV, which stands for reverse. If I click that, it reverses the sample that I have. That's pretty straightforward. And then we're gonna go here and type and change the volume to -15, so that it's lower than our actual snare sample. And then we're gonna actually go in and I did not mean to do that. And we're gonna listen to how that sounds real quick first. Alright, we don't need all of that, so I'm gonna cut it off right about there and drag that in, see how that sounds. Yeah. See, it's not a very we don't want a very big whoosh. Whoosh, I just said whoosh. We don't really want a very big hitting reverse snare, because it's just the intro, and we want to introduce more complicated elements later on. So for now, I have it hitting right before every other snare. So at the second snare and then the fourth snare, that's when the 2 reverse snares are hitting. They're hitting right before that. So we hit stop, play the whole thing. All right. And then we're going to duplicate that whole thing across all 2 bars of that across the next 2 bars. And that's where we're going to add another element, this little ride cymbal that we got. So we're going to take that, and that by itself just sounds like this. But if we take it and we duplicate it across, now we've got it going across these next bars. And that kind of breaks the repetition of the 4-bar loop. And the whole thing sounds like this. Alright, so now we got this really simple house beat going on, and in the next video I will show you guys how to a few tips on editing the video, and editing your song, your drum hits and stuff like that to make them sound better, like make your kick sound harder, make your snare sound more snare-like, make your hat sound better, the cymbals sound better, and a little bit of EQing tips for mixing while you're building a track. So that's it for now. If you like the video, please leave a comment below, rate and subscribe, thumbs up, and da 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 da. Only if you like the video. If you have any suggestions for the tutorial, please leave your suggestions in the comments, or send me a message, whatever, and I'll try to respond to them when I get the chance. All right.